Live from the BDN Studios, it's Bang and Dang.
That's awesome.
If you don't like that, then
You ain't black.
Welcome back to Outlaws Gunslingers with your hosts, Bang and Dang. And more true crime on the way today. This time we have a 2008, relatively newer case here. What did we do last week? Oh, the Robb Elementary, which was more even newer. But, yeah, it's harder and harder to find these true crime cases after 2017 because you look at, like, lists of stuff and it's just shootings. So, needless to say, we got a lot of shootings coming up. But I did find some decent little true crime stuff here. This time we're going to do the murder of Rachael Anderson, who, like in many shootings that we've done, could have been prevented because the perpetrator was a big piece of shit and should have probably been in prison his whole life before this happened, but we'll get to that when it happens. She was
that goes.
An aspiring funeral director kidnapped, raped, and murdered by Anthony Pardon in her apartment on her birthday, her 24-year birthday.
She was an inspiring funeral director, huh? Wow. How does one become an aspiring funeral director?
I mean, I used to work with this kid that was literally his dream to be a funeral guy. Some people like it, man. You can't judge shit. It's weird, I guess. But, yeah. Some pretty crazy, messed up stuff happens in this one, especially with the guy and his criminal past. Should have never been out of jail to even do this, but we'll get into that. Before that, go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network, where we post our full episodes of all of our podcasts, plus clips, shorts, exclusive Dart League that we got going on, only available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple. Give us a review and answer that question on Spotify, all you Spotify listeners. Rachael Nicoletta Anderson, born January 28, 1994, to William Bill Anderson and Patricia Trish Anderson, in Warren, Ohio. 2012, she graduated from Warren G. Hardin High School, where she was. You think Warren was
most likely
made from Warren G. Hardin?
Yeah, I would say so.
Where she was part of the National Honor Society and played soccer and volleyball and was in band.
Oh, no shit.
Anderson, who wanted to become a funeral director, attended Youngstown State University, where she majored in prerequisites for mortuary science and made the dean's list as well.
No shit.
Good for her.
Well, she went to Cincinnati College of Mortuary Science, graduated in 2016 with a bachelor's in mortuary science. While in mortuary school, she worked at the Nagale Kleb Illendorf Funeral Home. Anderson, who was a member of the Ohio Funeral Directors Association, moved to Columbus, where she began an apprenticeship at the Shaw Davis Funeral Home. At the time of her moida, Anderson was nearing the end of that apprenticeship, and according to the funeral home's manager, was going to be offered a job.
Oh, he had to say that, right?
Anderson's murder, I mean, how good do you have to be to...
I mean, you gotta... It's a science. Do you know what those people do? They gotta, like, drain your blood, and it's a specific thing you gotta do. You can't just stick a needle in.
Anderson's murder occurred on her 24th birthday. She's buried at Pineview Memorial Park.
Speaking of which, there's an insight. Go watch Theo Vaughn. He has a podcast episode with a funeral director guy, and he like details the process of like draining the blood and all that shit. It's more complex than you think it is. Dressing up the bodies and stuff. It's weird. Well, now let's get to the piece of shit of this guy. Oh my gosh, half the episode's going to be about his criminal offenses.
Oh goodness.
Anthony Pardon, he is a recidivist violent offender, repeating an undesirable behavior after they have experienced negative consequences of that behavior. So he's been doing the same crimes and getting put in jail for it, but comes back and does the same crime. He's a sexual offender whose criminal history prior to Anderson's murder involves several rapes, including the rape of an infant and the rape of an 8-year-old girl, along with robbery, kidnapping, and attempted murder.
How the hell is he out? How is he out?
That's what I said. At the time of Anderson's murder, he had spent a total of 33 years in prison for his crimes and was a registered Tier 3 sex offender, which means literally don't even look at a kid.
This dude should have to walk around with a body camera for the rest of his life.
Right, like implanted in his forehead or something.
Right.
According to Pardon's defense attorneys, he had an abused, dysfunctional, chaotic childhood.
Fuck him.
He was raised by his grandparents before living with his mother. Okay. He developed conduct disorder and antisocial personality disorder.
I'm sure he did. little disorders.
Right.
March 1979, Pardon, then 14, was temporarily committed to the Ohio Youth Commission after he raped an 8-year-old girl.
Jeez.
July of that year, he was made a ward of the court and temporarily committed to Franklin County Children's Services. December of that year, he was also found guilty of menacing and permanently committed to the Ohio Youth Commission, as well as being placed in foster care. Well, if he's committed to Ohio Youth Commission, how could he be in foster care? Because he's going to be in that...
Probably like a state-run home or something.
Right, until he's 18.
1980, Pardon was charged with raping a 9-month-old child. The victim of this rape was the son of Pardon's foster parents. Oh, my gosh.
Geez.
Pardon, who was 15 when he committed that crime, was babysitting while it's... Oh, my gosh.
What?
She left him to babysit after he already raped an 8-year-old girl.
Oh, my goodness.
His foster mother went out grocery shopping. He told Columbus police that he committed the crime because he was upset after having a fight with his girlfriend. Oh, my goodness. So you rape an 8-month-old baby.
Oh, my goodness.
Pardon was convicted of the crime as a juvenile.
Of course he was. Sickening. 13th November 1981. Pardon, 16 years old at this time. He was allowed into the home of his girlfriend's 39-year-old mother to use her phone. He pulled a butcher knife on her, raped her at knife point, stole $100 from her purse. He bound her hands and feet together, gagged her, and put her in the trunk of a car. He proceeded to drive her to Valley Dale, where he untied her feet and threw her into a Lum Creek behind the Valley Dale ballroom.
Well, I guess at least he undid her feet.
Right.
When Pardon saw that victim, who was partially clothed, was able to keep afloat, he went into the creek and held her head under the water.
Oh, no.
The woman survived after a good Samaritan intervened. Pardon left before police arrived and used the money he stole from the victim to buy tennis shoes and a jogging outfit.
What?
Pardon was tried as an adult for this one.
Damn
and
right.
In May 1982, at age 17, was convicted of aggravated robbery, rape, and attempted murder in Franklin County, Ohio.
That should be at least 15 years right there.
Well,
Oh, damn. 5 to 25. Get the hell out of here. He was sentenced to 5 to 25 years in prison. He was originally sent to Ohio State Reformatory in Mansfield. But then he was transferred to Lebanon Correctional Institution and later to the Southern Ohio Correctional Facility in Lucasville. While in prison, he acquired several disciplinary infractions, including possessing weapons, setting fire to a mattress, and fighting. He ultimately spent more than 24 years in prison for the crime and was released in November of 2006.
well.
Should never been released.
And in 2009 or 1999, he was declared a sexual predator. Excuse me? He should have been that in 1980.
Right.
He then moved to Georgia in 2006 or 2007 and applied for a maintenance job under a false name. 2007, he was charged with forgery and failure to register as a sex offender in Georgia.
That's punishable by back to prison, right?
Should be. He was convicted of these offenses in Floyd County, Georgia, spent 9 years in prison for them.
Shit.
He was also given 20 years of probation and was required to wear a GPS ankle monitor and pay for all expenses.
Damn right. All right. Well, moving on. 2000. It's so stupid with all this criminal history, and they're still letting this guy out. 2017, Pardon was released from prison, returning to Ohio in June that year through an interstate compact agreement between Ohio and Georgia. He was monitored by the Adult Parole Authority and required to check in with the Sheriff's Department every 90 days.
How about every 90 hours?
How about 90 minutes?
Right.
Ohio's Adult Parole Authority did not give him a monitor, as a judge had requested, because of the length of time spent monitoring and the expense issue.
Oh, fuck off. What's the expense?
None. 21st of August 2017, Pardon was caught with a prostitute in his car.
Jeez. She's probably going to kill her. Though he told police he was giving her a ride, the woman confirmed to the local news that he was interested in sexual activity.
Oh, jeez.
4 a.m., January 27, 2018, he was caught driving without a license. During that stop, he was found to have a pocket knife, a kitchen knife, and a pellet gun. He was not arrested.
What?
He's not supposed to have any weapons, guys.
How? Well, moving back on to the victim, Anderson celebrated her 24th birthday, January 26th and 27th. Both days, huh? On the 26th, her brother John came from Warren to Columbus to stay with her. The next day, Anderson and the bro went to the home of their friend John Kennedy. There, the Andersons, the Kennedys, and others, they had a party to celebrate Anderson's birthday. The Anderson siblings spent the night at the Kennedy's house and came back to Anderson's home on the 28th.
Well, before this, apparently she worked on both the 26th and the 27th. During the time she was at work, she gave her brother her key so that he could come home or come and go as he wanted.
Right.
On the 28th, John Anderson went back to Warren and accidentally took the key with him.
Oh, shit.
Around 1 p.m., Anderson texted the Kennedys, who owned a key to her home, said that she would come and pick up their key. Because they were giving a friend a ride to Athens, Ohio, she had to come and get the key later when they returned home. How about you just leave it somewhere?
Right. Jeez, oh, Pete.
So now she's locked out of her house, or?
Oh, it's 2000. It's a break her fucking window or something.
It's 2018.
All right. Later that very day, 6:17 p.m., Anderson texted to Kennedy saying she would leave in about 20 minutes to come and get that very key. She spoke to her mother at around 6:30 and then went and got her key from the Kennedys. Because the apartment door could only be locked from the outside with the key, Anderson had to leave it unlocked. Oh, I see.
She had to leave it unlocked the whole day while she was at work and shit?
Wait, but if her brother left when he locked the door, how did she get into to the house?
Because they had to leave it unlocked. But she still needed her key for further things. That's why she still had to go get it from the Kennedys, I'm assuming.
She stopped at Arby's on the east side at around 7:30 and then went home with an unlocked house.
Around that time, I'm assuming right when she got home, Pardon entered Anderson's apartment at about 8 p.m. He kidnapped her, taking her from the downstairs of her apartment to the upstairs. He restrained her, tying her feet and ankles together with the cord from her hairdryer and binding her hands with her belt and cords from her blinds. He then wrapped the cord from Anderson's curling iron between the hairdryer cord and over her wrist, hog-tying her. He also gagged her. Pardon forced Anderson to tell him her PIN number. He also tortured her and raped her. Pardon strangled Anderson with the cord from an electric blanket. In addition to being asphyxiated, Anderson also suffered blood trauma from a stab and a stab wound in her head.
Oh, jeez.
Holy shit, dude.
Wow.
Guess the fucking strangling with the cord wasn't enough.
This guy, that's just a failed system. Sad. All the way from Georgia to frickin' Ohio. Pardon placed Anderson into her bedroom closet. He left her there, naked from the waist down, with her electric blanket cord tied around her neck and the doorknob.
Oh, jeez. So when somebody opened the door, it probably pulled her.
Right. After murdering Anderson, Pardon stole her car. He also took her credit card and debit card and used them at several stores in Columbus. He gave his sister the debit card and went shopping with her. Pardon's sister later learned that the car belonged to a murder victim when she watched the news. Oh, my goodness. Pardon also, she was probably wearing whatever it was right then. She's like, oh, my goodness. Oh.
Just eating the
Right.
bag of chips that she got from the debit card that she used.
Jeez. Pardon also gave the debit card to a homeless man named Anthony Sleets, claiming that his girlfriend was trying to take its money after a falling out, and offered to buy Sleets a hotel room if he uses the card. Pardon gave Sleet Anderson's PIN number and drove Sleets to several ATMs.
Oh, jeez. January 29th, Anderson failed to come to work or answer her phone. The office supervisor of Shaw Davis Funeral Home asked a coworker who was out doing deliveries, "What are you delivering?" To go to Anderson's apartment to check on her. He went to Anderson's home, and when she failed to respond, he went to the rental office and explained the situation. Because neither Anderson's coworker nor employees at the rental office were allowed to enter Anderson's home, her coworker contacted the police. They responded and had the rental agent inspect Anderson's apartment, but the rental agent did not locate her.
What? You don't open doors? You just walked in. Oh, nobody here.
Well, I don't think you're going to be looking in closets. You don't think she's dead yet, right?
Afterward, Anderson's former roommate gave her friend Jonathan Kennedy permission to inspect the apartment. Okay, how can hell she give her permission? Just because she's a former roommate.
Maybe she's still on the lease.
Possible. Kennedy entered Anderson's bedroom, which he found out of place. He testified that he tried to look in the closet, but when he tried to pull the door open, it felt like something was pulling it back.
It was her freaking body.
When he was unable to open the door, when he was able to open the closet door, there he found Anderson's body. He tried to help, but realized she was dead. Went outside and notified Officer Frank Scalafani. Scalafani, yeah.
Investigators responded, finding Anderson's bound body partially wrapped in a comforter. There was also a shirt wrapped around her head and a black clothing item knotted around her neck and shoved into her mouth. An autopsy performed on Anderson's body determined that she had been strangled and stabbed. She suffered a laceration to her scalp and fractures in the base of her skull. The stab wound went through the back of her neck and penetrated the left cerebral hemisphere and internal capsule of her brain.
Oh, that probably killed her right there.
Jeez, dude. So he went like that, pretty much. Oh, shit.
This guy, he shouldn't. I don't. It's so preventable. So preventable.
Death penalty, that's what I say.
Anderson was stabbed with so much force that part of her skull broke off.
Oh, my goodness.
The autopsy also revealed that Anderson was strangled with the cord from an electric blanket, and that strangulation led her to suffer hemorrhages in the sternocleidomastoid muscles and eyelids, and caused the vessels in her eyes to become overfilled with blood.
Oh, imagine that sight.
Additionally, it showed that Anderson had bruises and red marks on her ankles and wrists, indicating that she was alive when Pardon bound her.
I would assume so.
Right.
The coroner who performed Anderson's autopsy found that Anderson's death was caused by the stab wound to her head and neck.
Obviously.
Though the coroner who testified at the trial said he had performed the autopsy, or had he performed the autopsy, he might have ruled that she died of ligature strangulation.
Nah, I don't think so. It's definitely a stab wound to the back of the head.
Well, maybe she was dead before, though. Who knows? Pardon's DNA was found on several parts of Anderson's body and at the crime scene. Investigators also found his DNA inside her body when they performed a rape kit.
I mean, this guy's DNA is in every freaking database.
Should be.
Location service apps and Pardon's email account on his phone allowed investigators to collect data showing where his phone was located at various times.
So there you go, guys. Even though you only got an email on your phone, you're getting tracked. So don't ever do a crime with your phone.
Right. Data showed that he was at Anderson's apartment from 7:59 to 9:25 p.m. on the 28th of January, 2018. After the Popo discovered that Anderson's debit card was missing, they examined bank records using cell phone data that matched Pardon's whereabouts to use of her card. Surveillance videos also showed Pardon and his sister using Anderson's debit card, as well as Pardon using Anderson's credit card and driving her car with the homeless guy.
Jeez. Investigators also spoke to Anthony Sleets after video footage showed him using her card. Sleets told him that a man matching Pardon's description gave it to him, though by the time Pardon became a suspect, Sleets had died.
What?
Well, he was homeless, so... Video showed Pardon and
Guess
Sleets...
he had the time of his life.
I guess so, right? He's like, damn, got a hotel room and stuff. I can die in peace now.
Right.
Video showed Pardon and Sleets driving Anderson's car hours after she was murdered. The 9-inch steak knife used to stab Anderson, was found 2 weeks after the murder in a box in her apartment by her mother.
Oh, my God.
Oh, probably still...
That's too bad. Well, Pardon was arrested on 9th February 2018 in the Linden neighborhood by SWAT officers. He was held in jail on a $5 million bond. There should be no bond.
Right.
February 15th, a Franklin County grand jury indicted.
Right. Why would they even give him a bond?
Right.
Revoke it.
Right.
Dude shouldn't even be out at all.
Bullshit. 15th February, Franklin County grand jury indicted Pardon on 9 counts, including aggravated burglary, aggravated robbery, kidnapping, rape, and aggravated murder. The indictment also included death penalty specifications, as well as a repeat violent offender, sexually violent predator, and repeated attempted murder specifications. He was formally arraigned on the 20th of February and pleaded not guilty on all charges. How? Why would you... And these lawyers are stupid. They're going for the not guilty shit, too. That's bullshit. These fucking defensive lawyers.
All right.
Garbage bastards.
June 19th, Pardon was supposed to appear in court for a pretrial hearing, but refused to do so, accusing Franklin County District Attorney Ron O'Brien of creating a sideshow and indicating that he didn't want to be paraded in front of news cameras. So, pussy. Can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Right.
Judge Stephen McIntosh, his court reporter, prosecutors, and Pardon's defense attorneys visited him in his holding cell, but he still refused to participate in the hearing. Well, you don't have to.
Mine does not, right? So let's freaking drag this whole thing around for another year at the end of 2000, almost 2 years. That's ridiculous. December 2019, Pardon sent a handwritten letter to WBNS-TV claiming that he didn't Moida Anderson. Pardon, who wrote that he didn't kill anyone and that this case is only because of my past. He also claimed that he knew Anderson and that they got high together.
Oh, sure.
O'Brien said that Pardon would have known that Anderson had THC in her system because he had access to information from her autopsy through discovery.
Right. So now he's like, oh, well, so this bitch was high.
Right.
Or had THC. We smoked weed together all the time.
O'Brien also said, I mean, you got your freaking DNA in her. O'Brien also said that there was no evidence that Anderson knew Pardon and that Pardon's letter was a tactic to delay the trial in a desperate act.
Well, go forward a month. January 24, 2020, pardon dismissed his attorneys despite urges from Judge McIntosh not to do it.
Right. Like, I wouldn't do that if I were you. These are the only guys that are keeping you alive.
McIntosh warned him of the perils of representing himself and asked him a series of questions about self-representation. Pardon said that he understood what he was doing. His former attorneys, Isabella Dixon and Larry Thomas, were to serve as standby attorneys in case he decided he wanted legal representation. According to Thomas, Pardon was unhappy with his representation, obviously. However, January 27th, Pardon decided not to represent himself. January 27th was also the start of jury selection.
Oh, jeez. Just get this shit over fucking with. That's bullshit. Trial began Monday, 4th February, 2020. 4 witnesses testified on the first day, including Jonathan Kennedy, who discovered Anderson's body. Anderson's co-worker and the manager of her apartment complex also testified. Jurors also heard from Officer Frank Sclafani, who was in the car outside of the apartment when Kennedy discovered Anderson's
Why wouldn't he
body.
went in with her?
Right. He was like, you go in.
Right.
And they saw his body camera footage as well.
And which means they saw her body.
Exactly.
February 5th, Anderson's brother John and crime scene special agent Joshua Durst testified. And on February 6th, the lead detective Art Hughes testified. Also February 6th, Pardon complained to the judge about his defense attorney saying, I'm not happy with this here at all, and asked for new lawyers.
Really?
Monday, February 10th, prosecutors brought in a latent print examiner and other expert witnesses who explained how technology was used to place Pardon where Anderson's debit card was used and at the scene of the murder itself.
I mean, they got videos of him using it.
Right, and in her car.
Get the frick out of here, man. Pardon's sister also testified that Pardon gave her Anderson's debit card. Trial over.
Right.
The last day of testimony was Tuesday, 11th February. A forensic scientist testified that Pardon's DNA was found at the crime scene, while a forensics pathologist and deputy coroner from the Franklin County Coroner's Office testified about Anderson's injuries. The defense did not call any witnesses.
Who the hell did I have to call?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
Closing arguments were held February 12th. Assistant prosecutor Amy Van Cullen gave the state's initial closing argument, constructing a timeline of the crime and telling the jury that Pardon killed Anderson, quote unquote, after and while he trespasses in her own home, her place of safety, the place where she sleeps, the place where she eats, the place where she comes home to relax. In the defense's closing argument, Pardon's attorney Larry Thomas conceded that Pardon used Anderson's cards, but argued that he was not responsible for the murder.
Oh, get the hell out of here.
He argued that the state's case was based on speculation and that the DNA and cell phone evidence had not conclusively proved Pardon's guilt. Okay.
Well, he then went on to suggest that Kennedy was involved.
Oh, geez, of course. Now, an poor innocent guy getting dragged into it.
Right. In the prosecution's rebuttal, Franklin County prosecutor Ron O'Brien argued that the defense was willing to admit that geolocation evidence showed Pardon used the stolen cards, but disregarded geolocation evidence about Pardon's whereabouts on the night of the moida. The jury,
The geolocation said he was at her house
between whatever time
8 or 7:59 to 9:24 or whatever it was.
Jeez, the jury, which consisted of 4 men and 8 women,
there you go.
deliberated for approximately 6 hours over 2 days.
What?
Yeah, it's bullshit. It should have been 6 minutes. Before finding Pardon guilty of all charges, including aggravated burglary, aggravated robbery, kidnapping, rape, and aggravated moida.
Jeez.
Kill that son-bitch. Or put him in a little box.
Well, he was eligible for the death penalty because he murdered Anderson during the course of aggravated burglary,
he was still on
kidnapping,
probation or
rape,
parole.
and because he has a prior conviction for purposely attempting to kill another victim. Prosecutors sought the death penalty against Pardon due to his extensive criminal history, with O'Brien saying in 2018 that there are some people who can't conform their conduct to the law, and it at least is alleged that he is one of them.
If I was the Andersons, I'll sue the state of freaking Ohio for negligence.
Not only that, if I was Kennedy,
Man, sue them for...
I'd sue the hell out of the whole state for it, right?
Shit. You're supposed to put they were supposed to put a tracker on this guy. Didn't do it because it's too expensive.
Not only that, what was the evidence that he produced? Did he just say, "Well, Kennedy did it" because he had the key? Was that the only evidence that he did?
Most likely.
Get the fuck out of here.
Most likely. But, sir, how'd you explain the DNA?
Inside of her.
They got high and dead sex,
Right.
probably, or some shit like that.
Okay.
Sentencing phase of the trial began February 18th. Defense argued that the mitigating factors such as Pardon's abusive and dysfunctional upbringing outweighed the aggravating circumstances of the crime. Bullshit. With Dixon saying, "You're going to hear that this man from an abused, dysfunctional, chaotic childhood went from that dysfunction at 16 and spent the rest of his life in prison." Yeah, but he did this shit when he was like 11, wasn't it?
12.
Prosecutors argued that the aggravating circumstances outweighed any mitigating factors and that Pardon knew what he was doing when he attacked Anderson. With O'Brien saying he very well understood. The evidence shows he knew what he was doing.
Of course he knew what he was doing. And not only that, how is the defense going to argue that him growing up in a dysfunctional childhood outweighs the murder he just committed? How the fuck does that?
And when he was doing that shit,
He was already been in the prison for 30 fucking 5 years or whatever it was.
He was doing it when he was a child.
Oh, jeez.
Get the hell out.
He went on to further say he was robbing, raping, and hog-tying Rachael Anderson on her birthday. He also told the jury that at age 53, as he was, he made those choices as he raped, burgled, hog-tied Rachael Anderson. Whatever happened in his childhood deserves zero mitigation.
Zero.
Pardon's mother and sister.
If you want to do that, you can say he had so much trauma in prison. How about that?
Fuck that. Well, good. I'm glad I'm about to read this because Pardon's sister and mother, along with a psychologist and his former elementary school teacher, testified for the defense.
Good.
Wait, no.
Oh, wait.
No.
Testified for the defense?
Yes.
Oh, shit. Why?
He's a good boy. He's misunderstood.
He's misunderstood.
February 19th, Pardon delivered a 13-minute unsworn statement to jurors discussing his abusive... Oh, fuck your abusive childhood.
Out of here.
And maybe you could have got that off on your first
Right.
charge, or maybe your second one, maybe even your third or fourth or fifth one.
Right.
No.
Not anymore, bud. Not anymore. He also spoke about his troubles after he left prison, saying, when I got out of there, nobody gave me nothing. What are you supposed to get? You're not supposed to get nothing.
Oh, jeez.
That's what you get. He claimed that the system failed him.
No, I agree with him there. The system failed him because he should have never been out of prison.
Yeah, and when he was out, he should have been freaking monitored. Saying that the prison system failed me. Social services failed me. Everybody failed me. And then he told jurors that his abusive father and the system made him who I am today. Get the freak out of here. During his statement, he did not speak directly about Anderson's murder or apologize for it, though he did say that he made a lot of bad choices in his life. And he said, you can blame me for that. Well, that's what they're going to do, you sick bastard.
Prosecutor Jennifer Ross responded to Pardon's statement in closing arguments, citing Pardon's poor choices in criminal history and saying, at some point, it is not our fault, as he suggested. This is not your fault. This is not my fault. This is not the system's fault. This is his fault.
And it is your guys' fault because you did nothing to stop it.
O'Brien also responded to Pardon's statement, arguing in the state's rebuttal that it was all about him and how others caused him not to be responsible for his crimes.
I mean, think about it. The guy got 5 to 25, ended up doing 24 because he kept on getting in trouble. He would have got out in 5 years.
Right. And then proceeded to attempted murder somebody after that.
Oh, my goodness.
Or no.
No, it was
He went
after
to
the
parole, and
parole
then-
violation, all that, and another 9 years. Get the freak out of here. He should never been released.
The prosecutor also claimed that Pardon showed no remorse and criticized him for not apologizing.
Get the hell out of here. Piss off. 20th of February, after deliberating for 3.5 hours, the jury deadlocked on whether to recommend the death penalty and recommended life without parole.
Oh, fuck that, dude.
Sentencing occurred on 16th of March in 2020. Both Anderson's parents gave victim impact statements, with their father calling Pardon an animal who stalked and preyed on our beautiful daughter. Anderson's father also said in his statement, over the past few years, I have watched him make demands and have temper tantrums as though he was owed something. Exactly.
Jeez. He went on to say, during the trial, he complained how the system had failed him. If anyone should be complaining, it is our family. The system definitely failed Rachael. That's true. The Department of Corrections system failed to keep him on a leash and let him walk free in society.
Exactly.
The State Highway Patrol system failed to protect our daughter by giving him a slap on the wrist and a free ride home the day before he brutally murdered her.
Driving on a suspended license. What else? He had the
weapons in his
knife.
car.
He had a knife. He had
Two knives.
2 knives. And a freaking pellet gun.
Right.
I don't give a shit.
In Anderson's mother's impact statement, she told the court, "It's frustrated to know the horrors of what was done in his early life and the families that were destroyed prior to ours, and said to Pardon, you stole my daughter's life. You will suffer for it in your new block walls and bars."
Shouldn't get any bars. It should just be walls. Just big enough for him to stand up.
Well, you already know my position on that.
Just big enough for him to stand up and he don't get out at all. Or hold the piss and shit.
Not even. Fucking by the time he's old and gray, there should be shit and piss up to his neck.
He'll be dead by then.
Oh, well.
Because of the fucking nasty.
Oh, well.
She also stated, "My daughter is Rachael Nicoletta Anderson. You killed my daughter."
Prepare to die.
She also stated, "My daughter is Rachael Nicoletta Anderson. She is not case number 19CR00769. Additionally,
Technically, she is.
right. Additionally, Anderson's mother expressed disapproval of the fact that the money she made from working that she pays in taxes will support Pardon in prison.
True that.
True. Judge McIntosh sentenced Pardon to 1 life without parole sentence for aggravated murder and another life without parole sentence for rape. Pardon was also given an additional 63 years in prison for aggravated burglary, kidnapping, and aggravated robbery charges, and repeat violent offender specifications. Sentences are to be served consecutively.
Which means one after the one after the other.
Right.
Instead of concurrently. Well,
Right.
it doesn't matter. It's life. He's never getting fucking up.
Right. He'll never do those 63 years.
He's already 50-something.
Is he still alive? He's made it.
Well, considering this was just in 2020, I would assume so.
Oh, my goodness. Sickening.
Sad, sad, sad.
It's terrible.
Oh, so he did appeal, and he appealed March 2022, but the court says, for the following reasons, we affirm the trial court judgment. Good.
Damn right.
And then it goes through the trial again, and blah, 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 everything he did. Guess what, bitch? You ain't getting fucking appealed. Cunt. So he tried to appeal. He says they contend the trial court committed reversible error by permitting the prosecution to play the police detective's interview with Sleet. He asserts doing so violated both acts, which states a hearsay exception for statements made by a deceased person. Oh, that's true.
All right.
And his constitutional confrontation clause rights.
It's true. And you can't do anything like that.
But their court is saying that hearsay generally pertains to cases where a deceased person's estate is involved.
Right.
So he's not really involved. So basically they said, no, bro, you're not getting out of prison because you're a piece of fucking shit.
He'll appeal again.
They're saying he didn't demonstrate plain error due to the omission of the Sleet interview. That's what he based it on. Therefore, the appellant's first assignment of error lacks merit.
They'll find something else. And
Accordingly, the appellant's first assignment error is overruled. Having overruled appellant's 2 assignments of error, we confirm the judgment of the Franklin County Court of Common Pleas, bitches. And, well, that was in 2022. And as far as I know, he hasn't...
takes a while. At least takes 2 years. So we'll be doing it this year.
That would do it for us in this episode.
Sad. Ridiculous.
Got a lot more of these types of murders coming up. Just murders themselves. Very rarely. We got a couple family familicides that are pretty interesting too, including the Bologna family.
Shitty part is there's people that will literally try to defend
Oh, I'm sure.
the Justice Department or anybody's actions of that whole case we just did, or his actions like he tried to do them because he had a terrible.
I had a rough upbringing.
It's mental issues we need to worry about. We should have gave him mental health help.
Pussies.
Yeah.
We have the Iowa City murders, which is pretty interesting. We also have the Kalamazoo shootings. We also have the Grand Rapids shootings
Kent
where the
State.
dude
That's
went.
one of the biggest ones.
Grand Rapids shootings where the Uber driver went around shooting people and then simultaneously giving people rides.
Right, at the same time.
We also have the Idaho killings, the University of Idaho killings. You guys remember that one? Found dead in the apartment and found the guy like in New Jersey or something.
Well,
Plus, we got
like last year, wasn't it?
we got the Atlanta spa shootings where wasn't a black dude open fired on like Asian spas.
Something like that.
And we got the El Paso Walmart shooting. We got a couple more single murders. The Orlando nightclub Waco shootout. Oh yeah, this Waco shootout. It's actually a pretty interesting one too in 2015. San Bernardino shooting. Sandy Hook. Waukesha still, San Jose, Gabby Petito, Oxford, FedEx, Buffalo. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. Yeah, I know. A lot of shootings.
Ridiculous.
Lots of shootings. We got a lot of stuff coming up. Plus, we are still in the middle of the Gambino family, which next week's episodes, or next week's, the first episode of February's episode of the Gambino family is going to be about Paul Castellano will be our next guy over there, and then we'll get to John Gotti after him, and plus we got lots more of true crime, and also I think we are going to start our serial killer stuff coming up here soon. We're either thinking of adding serial killers to another day on this feed, doing it separate, and then or a whole new podcast. Maybe. I don't know. Probably makes sense to do it on this feed, but on a separate day. But
or we would just do 1 week mob, 1 week.
You can't just switch it up like that.
Do anything you want.
That's stupid.
Do anything we want.
That's stupid. Either or. We got Battles of the American Civil War and Lee and Corey on the case and some more true crime coming up on Outlaws and Gunslingers. Go check out our YouTube at Bang Dang Network. And if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, give us a review and answer the question on Spotify. And with that, we'll be back next week for more Outlaws and Gunslingers from North Michigan with
Bang Dang.